Hi everybody.
Hi everybody.
I'm Scott.
I'm John.
We're married.
Ta-da!
And we are the SweetTeaNoShade knitting YouTube podcast.
Right. We talk about knitting and sometimes not.
And we talk about yarn.
Talk about yarn.
And we talk about movies. Mm-hmm. We talk about knitting and yarn stuff at the beginning, or for most of it. Mm-hmm. And then at the end we
have our bonus segments.
Yes. So. Which right now is Hallmark movies.
Reviews. So someone asked us in the comments a couple of things ago, and they asked, what are you drinking?
Oh yeah. So what are you drinking, John?
I am drinking, it's a white wine. It's called Cleone. It's a dry white wine, and it is from Greece.
Corinth.
So
we are dog sitting.
Yes.
Right now. Our friend's dog, Joey. Joey was born without back feet. So he has back legs, he just doesn't have back paws. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't know it though, the way he acts. And he's a rascal. He's like a year and a half?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. And he sort of army crawls.
Yeah, he army
around.
crawls, and
so he's very cute. When he can
get a good grip, he kind of balances on his front paws. Right. But he's decided that right now he wants attention.
He's awfully cute. He and Harris may not be thrilled to have another dog.
I'm going to take a video right now while y'all are talking.
Be thrilled to have another dog in the house, but that's okay. Joey's staying with us until Monday.
Yes. So. Well, and I say this in all seriousness. Harris does not consider himself to be a dog.
No. In his mind, we are in a no dogs allowed household because he is a person.
He's a person, not a dog. So the fact that there's a dog in his house, he's not happy about.
Yeah.
What is Joey doing to the...
He's on I'm sure he's crawling over the mic line.
Yeah. So, so Harris is having none of it. Harris has zero interest in other dogs. The place that we take him to board him, it's a big open space indoors, and they have cameras where we can watch him, and Harris literally just sits and watches the other dogs and has no interest in the dogs.
The look of mild disdain on his face.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Gosling's Dark and Stormy, ready to drink rum cocktail. In the summer, or like over the last year or so, I did nothing but drink Moscow Mules pretty much, which is ginger beer, vodka, and a bit of lime. And in the cold weather, and plus I was getting kind of tired of Moscow Mule, so I've switched to Dark and Stormies, which is dark rum. It's the same thing as a Moscow Mule, but except with dark rum. John discovered that they have pre-made cocktails at our liquor store down the street. So that's what I'm drinking.
Yay.
Cool. All right. So I have 2 new cast-ons. Or had I started my hat last time?
You have not.
Okay. 2 new cast-ons and a work in progress. What do you have?
I have 2 works in progress. One of which is new.
Okay. I'll start with my hat.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. All right, so I don't remember who made this.
I think is that Mrs. Brown's bag?
No, I only have one of her. No, because she always does the knitted fabric.
Oh. It's awfully cute.
I'm wondering if it's Whimsy Stitches. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, no, it's Little Monkeys Stitch and Spin.
Okay.
Found this in the bottom of the bag. Little Monkeys Stitch and Spin.
They put those labels on there for this reason exactly.
Right.
So.
Damn it. Oh yeah, I've got it right here. Okay. So this, I'm knitting a hat. So I'm knitting a, thank you. I'm knitting a Sockhead hat, which is, if you're not familiar with that pattern, it's basically sock yarn and you knit a hat. And it's not complicated. It's not a complicated pattern. This yarn is kind of strange. It's got little
bumps,
knobs,
knots,
not very tight. spun parts. I can't explain what I'm trying to say. But it's from Stitch Together Studio. Hand dyed somewhere in Iowa.
Okay.
Rad yarn for Rebels.
And we got that in Chicago.
Yeah, at
the store that moved.
Yeah, can't remember now, but Stitch Bubble Faded Flannel. So Stitch Bubble, I think, is the base.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the base. Faded Flannel is the colorway. It's 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon. 438 yards for 100 grams. So, yeah, so I saw this in the store that we were in Chicago, and I just thought it was really cool, and I thought it would be fun to make a Sockhead hat out of. It's hard to kind of tell how it's going to turn out, if I'm going to like it, but I'm going to keep going, because beginning of a project always looks really weird.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the 2x2 rib. I'm doing this on a hat size needle, so like a 14 or a 16 inch or something like that. Circular, or chow goose. And yeah, so
cool.
That's all I can say about it so far. Did I say I'm doing a 2x2 rib?
Yep.
At the beginning,
You
and
did.
so I'll do that. I forget. Hang on just a second. I don't remember who did this pattern. Did I put it in here? Okay, so the pattern is the Sockhead Slouch Hat by Kelly McClure, excuse me. It's pattern on Ravelry, and it's available as a free download. So, I've knit it before with just regular sock yarn, but it starts off with several inches for a
Thick rib.
For a
Brim.
Or brim, yeah, and it's been there's almost 42,000 projects on Ravelry, so I think it's a pretty popular pattern. So I'm hoping that this is going to turn out as fun as I hope it will.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be just a really fun texture.
Yeah, cool.
All right, this is my work in progress. It's almost done. I'm very excited. This is the Caden Scarf by Kunnecke, we think. And it is being knit on Alpacas Davos. I say it differently every time, which is an 85-15 Siri Merino blend. And it is 500 yards, and the colorway is called Raven. So, Raven. So here it is so far. It's about 5 feet long, I think. So, which is about, I think, the right length of a scarf, getting close to it. So I actually took out some of our scarves and measured it against this, and
So people can see.
yeah. So, and there is this much yarn left. So,
And that was a rather large.
yeah, it's 500 yards.
Okay, 500 yards.
Yeah. So, I'll probably do maybe 5 or 6 inches, and then finish off. So,
Cool.
yeah. So this is almost done. So very excited about it.
Bought it at a yarn store that's no longer in existence.
Yes,
right?
in St. Louis, I think.
Notorious.
Yeah. So anyway, really liking it. It's my current popcorn potato chip knitting project because I've been doing it for so long that
I think the people on our podcast are probably sick of seeing this pattern, seeing this project.
no, because it's gone away for a long time. it's disappeared for
They're
years.
gonna be like, oh God, if he talks about that black scarf one more time,
You're cut off.
he needs to finish the
You are
black
cut
scarf.
off.
Black scarf.
It is almost finished.
If he talks about Alpacas Davos one more time and says
Alpacas Davos.
Docs Vasi.
So anyway, it's a very fun pattern, and yeah, I think it'll be probably done by next. I was going to sort of sit down and power through I think I'd done up to this stitch marker before at the last podcast. This,
oh, wow.
This is about a week and a half of work on it. So I think I can get a bit more done.
Yeah, I want you to be done with it because I want you to... We're both knitting. There's a project that we're going to show in a minute. I'm going to show in a minute that we're both going to be knitting.
Yeah.
And I want him to start it. Of course, you'll blow past me.
Yeah, no, this is called your head start, baby.
Thank you.
So anyway,
you're so kind.
I am so kind. I am full of kindness. Anyway, but I would just say this is a really fun pattern. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying it. And again, it's nearly done. I'm excited to see what it looks like blocked.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be a very fashionable little scarf.
So say you.
So say us all. No, so say all of us.
No, just keep going.
Whatever. Anyway,
did you say who the designer was?
Yes,
of the
Todd
pattern?
Kunnecke.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right. You said that.
My apologies to him. That is not how you pronounce his last name. So,
I am going to show something that I've shown before. I think I showed it last time. It was the Diabetic Bed Socks is the name of the pattern. And so I actually put this as a project in my Ravelry.
What?
I'm starting to do that again.
Yeah.
And so it's called the Diabetic Bed Socks. Oh, and I don't know that we said this. On Ravelry, I am SweetTeaNoShade. You are...
ILoveYouIKnow.
Right. On Instagram, I'm
remember.
SweetTeaNoShade, and on Instagram you are...
John Asbury.
So if you're interested in the pattern information, these are the Diabetic Bed Socks by Kelly Hobart that I am knitting for two friends of ours. I'm going to be knitting two pair. It's for friends of ours. One of they're a couple, and one of their's mother. How do you say that? The mother of one of them. Mm-hmm.
A silent
auction item like a year ago.
Almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah. For a pair of socks, for us to knit two pair of socks. So finally getting it done. This project bag, Betty Ann gave us. Betty Ann's my mom, but I don't see. Oh, it's Quilt Knit Craft.
Okay.
So the situation with this is that his mom had bought yarn in
Bolivia
and wanted us to use that yarn. So the yarn is 100% alpaca.
Right.
And I needed to give it some structure. And so I'm holding it double with some yarn.
Mm-hmm.
The pattern calls for chunky yarn. I don't know what this is, if it's chunky or not, but it doesn't really matter because I met gauge. I did a gauge swatch and met gauge. This was my gauge swatch, but I met gauge and holding the yarn with the sock yarn. So right now I'm doing the black and purple pair. Then there's cream yarn that she gave me, and the cream I'm going to use, but I'm not going to do it with purple. I'm going to do probably brown or something that works better with cream.
But the cream is going to be the heel.
No.
Okay,
the sock is going to be... one pair is going to be 100% black and purple.
Okay.
The other sock is going to be 100%...
Okay, so you're not switching for the toes, or...
No.
Okay.
No. I just think it'll be easier to do it this way. So here's how far I've made it. It's not the fastest knit, and I'll do a close-up, but it's a fun pattern because on one side it's fisherman's rib, the top, which makes it squishy and thick, and the other side is double knitting. And so you start with the toe, and then you knit the fisherman's rib on the top and the double knitting on the bottom, so that it creates kind of a thicker sole, and then the top is to make it squishy and warm. So I've got probably half of the foot done, maybe less than half. It's a fun knit, but the fisherman's rib is...
You have to pay attention.
You have to pay attention, and you have to knit in the row below, and then you have to purl in the row below, and holding it double, that can get tricky. And if you make a mistake, I don't know how to fix fisherman's rib, like when you're knitting in the row below and stuff. So
yeah.
Luckily there's not that many stitches on the needle. So there's a total of, the cast on was 32 stitches.
Okay.
So it's 16 stitches of fisherman's rib and 16 stitches of double knit.
Well, the nice thing, and like with that color yarn, like if there's a no one's gonna see it.
Right.
So
yeah, and
they'll be very comfortable.
They'll be very comfortable. They'll be very nice.
Yeah.
But somebody, and I commented on it, or I responded to it in the comments, but somebody had pointed out that, because last time I was talking about, being careful, like if they wash it, then it'll stretch because it's 100% alpaca and get out of shape and stuff, and I was hoping the sock yarn would help that, and they had pointed out that they accidentally washed alpaca socks, and basically it felted into a mess, and they couldn't use them anymore.
Oh no.
So I'm going to be sure to tell them when I give them these socks that to just hand wash them in cold water and lay it flat to dry, and it'll be fun. What's so funny?
So we have a sort of a chat group with our Knit Night people, and they were talking about washing socks, and they did a little survey of like, how do you wash your socks?
Oh.
And like, most people put them in the washer and then laid them flat, but some people hand wash them, and some people just throw them in the washer and the dryer. Ross.
Well, that's our friend, that good old Ross.
Good old Ross. He
keeps it real.
He keeps it uncomplicated and real.
Yeah.
So no, it was just funny because I just assumed that everyone, you put them on the washer, wash them on cold with Woolite, maybe, and then you take them out and dry them. Yeah,
and I'm wanting to go away from that, and I want to start like putting the socks and our like nice sweaters and stuff in the bathtub and washing them by hand that way.
Okay.
And then, but then you have to worry about getting all the water out.
Right.
Maybe we can put them in this washer for the spin cycle then.
No,
I just feel like it's rough. I feel like it's rough.
No, you put on the delicate gentle, and it's not bad at all. The dryer is rougher on it.
Yeah,
I think.
Anyway, I'm enjoying the knit. It's just, it's not set it and forget it type knitting. You have to really pay attention. So, yeah. So, and the yarn is, I looked for the yarn online, and I couldn't find, well, I think I found it, but it's Alpaquita Grosso, and it's Calidad de Exportación, which I don't, that might be like made or not for exporting or something. I don't know what that means, but I think I found it, and I think I linked to it in my pattern page, but it was tough to find the information about who the Alpaquita dyer is, or the maker of the yarn is. So yeah,
lovely.
More to come on that. I don't remember what that was from, but we'll put that in there.
Yeah, I'm sure it belongs in there.
All right, and then you don't have any more, right? Or you have one more?
More,
okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Then, all right, so my next project is a hat, and it is the pattern is not in the thing. Oh, no, there it is. Sorry. I wrote it out. It is the Vanishing Point Hat. Here it is. What are you doing, babe? What are you doing, babe?
I want to say hello to the podcast.
So it's the Vanishing Point. I think it's called the Vanishing Point Hat. Doop-a-doom.
By Nathan Taylor, the Sockmatician.
Nathan Taylor, the Sock. I'm just double checking. Vanishing Point Hat. Vanishing Point, a double knit hat by Nathan Taylor, aka the Sockmatician. So this is my project where I'm going to learn to love double knitting. So I am.
Why don't you find a pattern that makes you love knitting socks or makes you love knitting with DPNs?
Because there's only so much. So anyway, it's a double knit, and the two colors I'm using are, this is not that, this is this. So this is Trilogy Yarns DK. It is 100% superwash merino, and The colorway is called Whiskey.
Hand-dyed in Walla Walla, Washington.
Yes. And the other one is Leading Men Fiber Arts. It is their dramaturg base, and the colorway is Dust in the Wind.
We have a friend who's a dramaturg.
We do.
We know what that means.
Exactly. So, essentially it is a double knit hat. You can sort of see one side is white with with the whiskey pattern, and the other side is the other way around. I'm about halfway through. So the way it's going to be is we'll basically a bunch of stacked diamonds, one on top of the other. So this is not a fast knit. It's also, I'm not quite to the point, and I don't know if I ever will be, like, I have to pay attention to knitting this a bit.
Yeah.
I think, but it's getting faster, it's getting better. And I think one of the things that sort of, it's funny because when I was doing the first row and struggling with it, we were listening to the Bakery Bears. We were to their podcast, and Dan and
Kay. Dan
and Kay was like,
Is it Kay?
Yeah.
Why doesn't that sound right? Okay, go ahead.
Dan, Obi-Wan knitter,
Yeah.
he had finished a sock or something like that, and he was talking about how the first part was so hard and so frustrating, but then it got better, and he was so glad he finished it right as I was like, I hate this pattern so much. So that was really good to hear. And so, yeah, it's coming along. I'm really liking the way just the double knitted fabric feels really squishy, which is fun. I like these two colors together a lot. And the other thing I did is, so I was having a lot of trouble with the cast on because everyone is like, you've got to do the invisible cast on for two color knitting. And I've seen patterns and it looks amazing, but it was just, this casts on 100, it's 2 pairs, it's like you passed on 96 times 2 stitches. So you're casting a ton of stitches because you have to cast on both the front and the back. And so
192 stitches.
It was just, yeah. And then it was just for a cast on, I wasn't comfortable with it. It's a little tricky. So I was kind of struggling. Kept practicing it, and it was just making me not happy. So then I went on a podcast called Nimble Needles, and he does tutorials, and he has a tutorial video which is like 4 different cast-ons for double knitting.
Oh.
And so he started with the invisible cast-on, or the vanishing, whatever it is, the invisible cast-on, and he's like, this one is very good, but here are the easier ones.
Oh.
And so this is one of the easier ones. And so what you do is you do basically you use the 2 yarns, and you do basically a long tail cast on. But instead of for every other stitch, you do a purl stitch.
Okay.
So when you do a regular long tail cast on, you're doing a bunch of basically knit stitches. And the way he showed it is you basically every other stitch you do a purl cast on.
Cool.
Which I thought was really
Definitely
cool.
Never done that.
No, and it makes a very stable edge, which I appreciated. And then what it does, so if this was the invisible cast on, you'd sort of see this would be this same color all the way to the bottom. But what this does is it puts a little ridge on the edge, which I think is kind of cute.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't look wrong.
No, it doesn't look wrong. And I liked it, and it took the anxiety and aggravation back on casting on. And then, of course, I cast on, got to the second row, realized I had twisted my work when I did the cast on, which was a little frustrating. And then
when you joined in the round.
When I joined in the round, yeah. And then I had also put an extra stitch in there somewhere. But I fixed both of those, which is just fine. And you can't even tell.
Yeah.
You can't even, it's too late. I've already seen everything.
Yes.
So yeah, that was really fun. I mean, it was a good, I always forget, not always forget, but the start of a new project with a new technique is always super frustrating.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so this will probably be going, I've been trying to do like a row a day, and the pattern is, it doesn't really matter. But the chart it's a 19 row repeat that you do a couple of times. So, I mean, it'll get done.
Cool.
So, just but yeah, I do, now that I'm getting a hang of the double knitting, and I think being able to read and fix, I think once you can start reading and fixing a new technique, that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, you have to, so every stitch you have to carry the yarn back and forth, both yarns back and forth. And so, like, I get yarn overs and stuff like that. It's like just knowing how to fix that, or if you accidentally knit the wrong color, you can fix that by dropping down or just tinking back. So, but yeah, knitting on the Chow Goose. And I've actually taken to, like, when I'm doing, like, knitted stuff in the round, using really small cables. So this could probably be on a much bigger cable, but I really like having it on a small cable for some reason.
Yeah.
And we also have, we knit everything on small Chow Goose, small interchangeable cables that you take what you can find.
Right.
So.
All right, we need to buy some more.
Yeah. So yeah, that is that project.
All right, so there's a few different topics all to combine into one for the next project. So
bear with us.
Yes. Okay. I don't know how to start it. We are going to Iceland in May of 2022. And we are, along with that, we are doing a knit-along that we'd love for everyone to participate in. It's a travel-themed knit-along, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then, so our project that we're knitting for our knit-along, to knit along with all of you, is a sweater. And I have started the sweater, John has not. I'm glad that he hasn't started yet, because there might be a possibility of him not completing it months ahead of me, maybe just weeks ahead of me instead. But I'm super excited about it because it's not an Icelandic sweater.
It's a Norwegian sweater, though.
It's a Norwegian sweater, but it's got a yoke that kind of is... It's Scandinavian. It's kind of Icelandic.
The people from Iceland, they came from Norway.
Right.
The original immigrants in the 900s. They came from Norway, so I think it's okay.
So it's okay. So we're knitting it to wear... So we're knitting the same sweater to wear while we're in Iceland.
Maybe at the same time, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. We'll see if we're going to wear them at the same time. So we are doing them in different colors, and we might be modifying. I'm going to knit the pattern as it's written. You might be making some modifications.
I might not do it as a turtleneck, which I haven't decided whether I want to do or not.
Right. The sweater that we're knitting is called the Ivalo sweater. It's by Dropz Design. But I'm not sure who the person is. I feel like
Dropz Design is they're a yarn. They're like Brooklyn Tweed kind of, but Norway, and they publish catalogs with their yarn.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this is one of the ones that they published. So the original pattern is written in Norwegian. It's translated into English, which is very exciting. And it's a free pattern too, which is exciting.
Oh,
which is
right,
cool
right.
Too.
That's right. It's a free pattern. So it looks like it was published in 2011. It has a colorwork yoke, a turtleneck, and
colorwork sleeves.
A little colorwork detail on the sleeves. And so,
we just need to talk about how this happened.
Is this what it feels like when I interrupt you all the time?
Yep, I just need to do a little digression here.
Okay.
So I got really excited 2 weeks ago, or whatever, and I'm like, hey, Scott,
I don't feel like this is going to be a polite story to me. Go ahead.
It's not. It's just a story. It is neither good nor bad. But so we like last Saturday, I was like, oh my God, Scott, let's go. I'm going to go buy some yarn for a sweater. And he sort of perked up. That's always fun. And then I showed him the sweater pattern, this one. He's like, oh, I'm going to knit that too.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, that's not what I said. What I said was, can you pick a different sweater to knit because I'm going to knit that one.
Right. So actually, my story was a little nicer. So anyway, it's actually totally okay. But I just want to say that I saw it first. So.
Well, yeah, you absolutely did. I'm not trying to take that away by any means. So we went to okay. Pardon me. I am still paranoid about knitting sweaters. I've only completed one.
Mm-hmm.
I've knit most of 2 others, and mostly I've knit, and so I'm very paranoid about getting the size wrong. And so I'm hesitant to purchase a sweater's quantity of nice yarn and knit a sweater. I want to get like one more under my belt before I knit like 100% wool or something like that. So I'm knitting it in acrylic, and so it's like $30 worth of yarn to knit this sweater. It'll also be a sweater that you can throw in the washing machine, because the other sweater that I've knit that I wore in the last podcast is, I forget if it's Lion brand.
Yeah, it's the Woolies, right?
Woolly, is that Lion brand? Mm-hmm. So it's the Woolies that's got some wool in it, but it's mostly acrylic, and I just throw that in the washer and dryer, and it looks brand new still. Yeah. So anyway, I'm choosing to do that with this sweater as well. Through the magic of TV, I'm going to make my pattern appear.
Your pattern appear?
My project appear.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. And now and magically it's here. So, I'm going to punch you. So, this is what I have so far. So I'm doing the sleeves. At John's recommendation, I'm knitting the sleeves first. This is a bottom-up sweater. And so you can see the little color work pattern on there. I'm doing white, and then navy blue, and a turquoise. I'm very happy with how the colors work together. Yeah. This is Red Heart Super Saver. What's the color? This is soft white. Red Heart Super Saver Cool.
Okay.
And then Big Twist, which is made in Turkey and distributed by Joann's stores. And this is, I don't see a color on here, do you? Oh, dark denim.
Yeah.
And so these are the colors I'm doing, and this is what I've got so far. So it's got a long cuff on the sleeve. What was interesting is when I started and I cast it on, I'm doing this magic loop, and it was up here, obviously on the needles, and this cuff looked huge. And I was like, oh God, because I had to do a gauge swatch, and then I didn't meet gauge, so I had to go down a needle size, 2 needle sizes, actually. And so then when you do the cuff, it calls for 2 needle sizes or more below what your normal needle size is. So I mean, it was like I was running out of room to go down needles. But anyway, it turned out great. The sleeve is perfect.
Yeah.
The sleeve size is perfect, and the cuff size is perfect, and so yeah, I'm just super excited to knit this. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at. I will say that knitting with the acrylic, it's a little hard on your hands. It's not quite as giving. It's a lot easier now that I'm into the just stockinette with the sleeves. And when I was doing the 2x2 rib down here, that was a little tougher. And I think if I were to be doing this on a circular, it would be easier as well. But
because I think I'm going to do mine on 8-inch circulars or 9-inch circulars.
Yeah,
so I like that for sleeves.
Yeah, and this is I was so excited to knit to start knitting the project that I don't know if we have the right size cable to do this 8-inch, if we have another spare cable to do 8-inch circulars. So if we go to the store,
because we have to get more. Oh, once I haven't gauge swapped for this yet, but I'm sure we'll need, because basically we knit everything on small cables and usually on 4, 5s, or 6s.
Well, we don't knit everything on small cables. It's just that these needle sizes are small cables, and then the bigger needles are large cables.
Yes.
So we use the small cables when these are like 5 or below.
Yeah.
So we don't knit everything on it. We just knit the appropriate cable size for the needle size.
Right. Which means we need everything on small cables.
Unless we have bigger than 5s.
Right. So small cables go up to like 7s, I think.
Or whatever. I'm just saying if you had a bigger than that, you would be using the large cable.
Right. But generally...
Oh, you're saying we just happen to use small needles most of the time.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say that?
Because I thought I was.
Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, and here are... This is what I'm going to use. Hang on. So this is going to be the body.
Oh. We always knit everything on the small cables.
Uh-huh.
Not because we have to, we just happen to.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Show us your cables, or show us your color, John.
So this is 1 pound of Caron. I don't know what it is.
I love that it's a pound of yarn.
I know, I do too. And the color is... What is it? I just saw it a second ago. Oh. Soft gray mix. So this is going to be my main color. And then my color work is going to be in these 2 colors. So I love this color a lot. This is same thing, this big twist, same thing you got, and the color is wine. So I really like how these 2 colors go together. So this is kind of the main color work color, and this is kind of the shadow color, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And this is also big twist. The color is mustard. I'm a little concerned. So if you live in Minnesota, this color combination is the University of Minnesota.
Golden Gophers.
Golden Gophers. And so I'm trying to decide how much that bothers me. So I'm going to knit a gauge swatch, but I'm also going to knit a colorwork gauge swatch, gauge swatch, to make sure I like the way these colors go together.
I think that should be a colorway name. Gauge squash.
Gauge squash.
Gauge squash.
Because I think you could also do like a peach with this. I don't know. I think I'd be okay if it wasn't so University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's like why I can't do purple and gold together because it's Vikings.
Right. But you wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't think necessarily that these 2 colors would go together. But the thing is, it is like a shadow or like a... It's not, it doesn't read, when you look at it in here, it doesn't read as, oh my god, turquoise and navy blue. It's blues that are...
Shadowed by the turquoise.
No, I mean the blues together are like... Right. The turquoise emphasizes the navy blue. It doesn't,
So, like, I would say the only thing I might do is, like, if I don't like this, I would get, like, a different color red to go with it.
Yeah. Or you could do pink.
Or peach.
I think peach would be too orange.
Okay. We'll see. Anyway, so that's my color combination. So.
Cool.
Yeah. So should we go back to, how far did we get into the knit along?
Not at all.
Okay. So anyway, so these are, so for our contribution to knit along, we're knitting something with sort of in anticipation of our trip to Iceland. So.
Yes, and so I was a couple days late, but the Ravelry information, or the information is up on Ravelry. There's a chatter thread and a finished objects thread. The theme of the knit along is
travel.
So it's, yarn that you bought when you were traveling, or it makes you think, or you're like, we're knitting this to wear on a trip.
Yeah.
Or it can be something that makes you think about a trip that you want to take, or you've gone to Iceland and you want to knit an Icelandic designer's pattern, that type of thing. It's pretty wide open as long as it connects to a story about a trip you've taken or one you want to take.
Yeah, and that's what we're interested in. Like, I mean, obviously the seeing people knit is fantastic, but like we want to hear about the people's stories. So I always think that really interesting about knitting, because usually, you might be knitting about a trip you went on, or a trip you want to go on, or this is yarn we bought somewhere. I find that really fun. Right,
yeah. So, all of the information about the knit along is now on Ravelry. And so, the other option, if you're not someone who uses Ravelry, the other option is to post on Instagram. using the hashtag SweetTea22. So SweetTea22. And our plan is to post or pick winners monthly.
Yeah.
From Ravelry and Instagram. And I just noticed that it goes from February 1st until July 31st.
Okay.
Right now, the Ravelry, I think, says June 30th, but I'll correct that so that it's July 31st. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's the knit along. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, so we're going, like I said, we're going on this trip. What's amazing to me is that we have people that watch this podcast from Iceland.
Right.
Which I did not expect. It's amazing. So we talked about our trip, and we also talked about a movie that we had watched as part of our movie review series called Love on Iceland.
Right.
And so I just wanted to read some of those comments because it's really exciting and just to acknowledge them. So Rachel Cunningham, who doesn't live in Iceland, commented, she said, I want to go to a Rettur? I don't know how to say that. Rettir in Iceland. It's like sheep wrangling. After they have roamed the highlands, you help the farmers sort them to the right farms.
Oh my God.
And somebody else had commented about Rettur. Rettur. I don't know how to say that. So then Thora Bjork Lindahl had commented that they're happy that we're not just staying around Reykjavik because we're going to Husavik. And so she said that so many people just stay in their capital. She said, make sure you have clothes for all weather. It's very unpredictable. And then Sigriður, I have no idea how to pronounce Icelandic, but I'm going to do my best. Sigriður Konradsdottir said that Icelandic wool is very warm, but you feel it on your skin if you're sensitive, which I don't think we would have a problem with. But it must be kind of substantial. But she said there are a few very nice places in the countryside with hand-dyed yarn. And she lives in the north part of Iceland, which is cool. And then Scylla had commented that she also lives up north in Iceland. So it's just kind of exciting that we're...
Yeah.
And so there was someone who had commented in a previous episode that I had responded to, and I'm not sure if that person is the same person as Sigriður Konradsdottir. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, just very exciting, and I wanted to acknowledge those comments.
Yeah, and I think, it is... Because this is our first real, I guess, because we went to South America before we started podcasting. And our Italy trip really wasn't really yarny.
No.
So this is our first international yarny trip.
Yeah. And, people have made some comments about how it would be cool to meet us, and we are definitely interested in that. I've never done that before, and I don't know how to do that, like as far as how you coordinate that, especially because we know nothing about Iceland.
Yeah.
So that we might try to make that happen, but we have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, and we'll figure out like where we are and where we have time, because we're going to be driving a bit, but we're spending a bit of time in Husavik. We're spending some time in Reykjavik, and then we'll be in Vik, are kind of our three big...
Are we spending a night on that peninsula?
Oh, in the Snalfenes Peninsula. Oh, God. So, yeah.
I'm going to look this up.
Yeah.
So, John and I just had a domestic off camera. Actually, it was on camera, but we cut it out.
You know.
Snæfellsnes.
I'm going to have a drink now.
You bet. It's for the best. Snæfellsnes Peninsula.
Yeah. Is
where we're staying. And are we? Is there a town that we're staying?
We're staying in just a little hotel in the middle of it. So, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, very, very excited about it.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna be there for a little over a week. In May. And first week of May, and we're going to go to tons of places and see tons of things, but we're definitely going to the School Beans coffee shop in Vic.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm excited about a coffee shop.
We're also going to the Ya Ding Dong Cafe in Pacific.
Yeah, Ding Dong Cafe, because we're dirty Americans.
Yeah, no.
But I don't know if we've mentioned this before. So any of you that are classical music fans, my favorite composer is the minimalist composer John Adams, and he is conducting a concert of his own music, including a piano concerto. Oh, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
At the
Harpa
Concert Hall, and so we're going to see that. The pianist, who is
amazing.
I don't even know what word to use for how amazing he is. We saw him perform here in Minneapolis a few weeks ago. So anyway, as you can tell, we're very excited about it. So that's that.
That's that.
Before we move to our movie review.
Yes.
I got an acquisition that I forgot to share. So this is the Knitted Wit, Her Story. Knitted Wit, Her Story Club.
Yeah.
Subscription. So this is Idioma?
Sure.
I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it, but they basically pick someone to honor. It's the Her Story 2022 Sock Club. And so this month is, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Ijeoma Oluo.
Mm-hmm.
And she has written, So You Want to Talk About Race and Mediocre, The Dangerous Legacy of White Male America. And so then they list some other artists. And there's a book club related to it.
Oh.
I didn't realize that. So, and it says Our Truth Teller colorway, that's the colorway here, Truth Teller. Our Truth Teller colorway is inspired by one of these looks, there's a long description here, and pays homage to all the parts of Ijeoma that she shares with us. Because black joy is something to celebrate just as much as success that comes with being a truth teller in America. So I am very excited to knit with this colorway. This is their sock base 80-20, 80% merino, 20% nylon, 420 yards, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
I just think it's cool that the way that they're the way that they're featuring people that wouldn't necessarily be featured. And they said that just a couple other details I wanted to point out, so that she began to focus on writing in 2012 after the death of Trayvon Martin, who was the same age as her oldest son when he was murdered. And then she received the 2018 Feminist Humanist Award and the 2020 Harvard Humanist of the Year Award from the American Humanist Association. So, very cool. So I feel...
I like Knitted Wit. I think they do really good colors, number one, and the way they sort of think about what they're honoring through the colorways they do. I really, really like.
Yeah, it's educational, which is helpful for me. And not that it should be about me, but I think that's great. Yeah. So, all right. So now we're transitioning to our
movie review.
So we watched a novel romance. We watched it on the 30th of January, which was a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah, last Sunday, I think.
And so I'm going to bring this over here because these are our talking points.
Okay.
So let's talk about the high-level description of the movie. So a best-selling romance novelist moves to Portland to cure his writer's block and unknowingly falls in love with his biggest critic. When their true identities are revealed, they have to find the courage and take a leap of faith. So the movie starred And we talked about this last time.
Amy Acker.
Amy Acker. And we know Amy Acker from... you were good at listing
so Amy
it off.
Acker, she was on Angel. She was on Dollhouse. She was on Person of Interest. She's an all-around... Like, she's one of those actors who I just will watch her in anything.
Yeah.
I really like her. And then Dylan Bruce, who is the romance writer who is writing under assumed name, who is trying to come out publicly as himself, is Dylan Bruce, and we knew him from Orphan Black.
Yeah, so he was Paul Dearden in Orphan Black. He's also been in Heroes Reborn. He's also been in a couple other TV movies.
The Christmas
Promise.
Do you think Christmas Promise is a romance?
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
He was also in American Gothic.
Don't know what that is.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I thought that was maybe... I was getting that mixed up with something else. But anyway, he's...
Oh! Sorry.
He was Bart Winslow in the V.C. Andrews
Petals in the Wind.
Petals in the Wind and Flowers in the Attic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's... Okay,
That's
anyway.
where else we know him from.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway.
So, yeah, he is a romance novelist. He's writing under an assumed name, and he's written his latest book, and the whole point is he's going to reveal himself as the writer.
Yeah. So let's kind of start back at the beginning. So he wrote a book. It was a romance novel, and he wrote it as a joke. But his family friend read it, and she was an agent, and she read it, loved it, and had it published, and it was a huge success.
Right.
So he has become a romance novelist, even though he's not super... He doesn't seem to have his heart in it. Mm-hmm. And, however, he's found success at it. But he wants to be a serious writer, serious author. And so he's hesitant to reveal himself as who he really is. Mm-hmm. And then and the other thing is that he is the child of very famous Hollywood stars that died in a boat accident or something. I forget how they died.
Something like that.
And so
it's a plot point.
Yeah. So when they met.
So Amy Acker is she's a journalist, and she writes book reviews for the Portland paper. And they have a cute meet on a plane. Mm-hmm. Where she is reading his book, his most recent book to review, and he's like, "Oh, how do you like it?" She's like, "I don't like it a lot. It's not as good as other stuff." And she sort of, says, "I liked his first book a lot, but now he seems kind of like he's kind of
phoning it in."
But they still like this sparks fly.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't say anything, obviously, that he is the author, and throughout the movie, he keeps postponing these big reveals that he's going to do. And why did he fly out to Seattle?
He was trying...
his agent was like, you need to write, you owe the publisher this book. So why don't you fly out, because he lives in New York, or Chicago?
He lives in New York, and he's in Portland.
Where did I get Chicago from? No, Chicago was Love on Iceland.
Yeah.
So she's like, why don't you go out to your family's cabin or whatever.
In Portland, right.
In Portland. Oh, not Seattle. Did I say Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
I meant Portland.
It's okay. I mean, they're the same city.
Right. Just like Walla Walla. And so...
They both look like Vancouver.
Right. As somebody in the comments pointed out...
They're all
filmed. All Hallmark movies are filmed in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So he flies out to write this book and kind of get away from it all, and she's there. How does she end up in Portland?
She lives there. She was interviewing for a job in New York
City.
That's
right. She was interviewing in a job in New York.
So anyway,
she works for a newspaper as a book editor, critic, and the paper's going under, and so she's looking for a different job. And part of the story is that she starts her own book critique website, which looks like my
GeoCities page.
It was like it was like my 2-year-old nephew made it.
Yeah.
It's from 2015, so I don't know why the website is so bad. It's comically bad.
Yeah.
But she's going to quit her job as a New York reporter, or as a newspaper book reviewer, and do her own website. And she's going to live happily ever after, right?
Right. And so basically the whole plot is driven by the fact that they've met, they really like each other, but he doesn't want to tell her that he's this famous author. First, because he's afraid that she will judge him because she didn't like the books. And then she also, in the past, had dated this really famous guy, and he had cheated on her in public, and she had this really messy public breakout. And she's like, I don't want to date anyone famous ever again. So they're falling in love. He's like, he wants to tell her, but he doesn't. He wants to tell her, but he doesn't. And then, of course, because it's a romantic comedy...
It's not a comedy. It's just romantic.
It's a rom-com. A little bit. Kind of.
It's not funny. It's not a comedy.
I mean, it's cute.
Keep going.
Okay. So, yeah, then, you know, shenanigans ensue, and she finds out, like, she finds out when she's, like, at his, like, reveal party. So she gets mad, and then 6 months passed, and they get back together.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he writes a book about their failed romance.
No, he writes a book about the guy who works in the bar, played by the guy from Rock.
No. No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna... No. So, John and I are not in agreement about what his book was about.
It's okay.
The book is called Return to Forest Park.
Right.
Which... It's all about him returning to Forest Park, which is her favorite park.
Right. I thought... Alright, so here's the deal. Here's why I don't think it's about her.
Okay.
Is because if I told you, like, hi, Mr. Famous Author, the last thing I want to do is have my love life made public, and you wrote a book about their life, that would be over.
See, I agree with you. And that was what confused me about the ending. Was because I was like... How is she not
furious about
that?
So I assume that he wrote it about the guy who owned the bar.
Harris.
Our dog just looked up.
Her dog's name.
And that he drew upon the experience of falling in love with her to make it real.
Oh, that might be.
Yeah.
Because I thought...
and he dedicates it to her.
Yeah. But then at the end of the movie... The cover of the book is there, and it puts their pictures, their outlines on the cover of the book.
But that's just them in front of a projection. Anyway,
if anybody else watched this, somebody tell us. This is actually kind of fun. Tell us if you think that Return to Forest Park was about their love life, Liam and Sophie, or about Harris and his dead wife.
Harris and Lola. Yeah. Okay, so we've gone a bit on it. So what else do we talk about in our book review?
So I forgot what we were talking, where we were at.
So, long story not so long. He is outed to her as the writer. She gets really upset and says, I can't date anyone famous. He writes this new book under his real name. It's maybe about them, maybe not. And then at the book signing, she shows up, and from the back of the auditorium is like, do you think you could... It's really silly.
Yeah, because at the end, she shows up at his press conference.
Or is it the president? And then, like, she's like...
Or whatever it is.
Yeah, and like, so, do you... it's just silly, and it's one of those things that, like...
She asks him questions where you can't see her. She's, like, in the dark.
Right.
As a book critic.
Right.
And then she goes up on stage and they make out, and that's the end of the movie.
Right. Which, I get that's why they did it for the movie, but, like, if you were actually... You just wait until after the book signing. It's like, hey... You wouldn't walk up on stage and you're like, I don't want my life public.
Well, and like I told John, one of the things that I've started noticing about movies, especially movies like this one, are if you take the music out of them, scenes like that are super creepy because it's literally
super cringe.
Yes, it's literally two people sucking face on stage in silence while everybody watches you. But there's in the movie there's swelling music
and then applause, right?
And then applause.
Can you imagine? All right, so can you imagine if you went to go see an author talk about their book, and their ex-girlfriend showed up, started asking questions, and they started making out? You'd be like, what is going on? This is really uncomfortable. Get me out of here. I'm not reading this book. Anyway.
Okay, so question. Are they going to live happily ever after?
Only if they do a lot of couples counseling.
They both have some baggage.
They have some baggage. They're not...
Because she is really...
She has trust issues.
She has trust issues because her big famous athlete boyfriend cheated on her.
Right.
He's got his famous parents that died. And,
right.
And
he also has, like, I'd like to hide things from you issues, too.
Yeah. It took him, like, a long time.
There were a couple of, like, scenes, and I know it's for a whatever, where, like, the door was open, and he used to just say, hey. Like, it wasn't like... There were a couple things like, this is the time you need to do this, and he didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
And dramatic effect, it's not an interesting movie if they're honest and open the whole time. There's no conflict. So anyway, I feel like maybe they have a future together if they are willing to go to couples counseling.
Okay. I will say that they are going to stay together. They'll stay together for a while.
2 years, so they don't have to pay for the engagement ring.
You are going to let me finish this. This is my turn to determine if they're going to stay together. Okay. So they're going to stay together, but then they're going to start a YouTube channel together about knitting. And then they're going to be at each other's throats constantly. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like you're projecting.
They're going to stay together for a while, but then, like, his inability to be honest and her damage is going to come back and bite him in the ass.
Right. Okay.
I hate that, but that's what's going to happen.
I mean, yeah.
So I don't think there were any fiber arts in this movie.
There were none.
I don't remember there even being sweaters or anything that were cool. I think he maybe had a sweater on that was cool.
Well, I mean, all right. So what's his face?
Everything he can wear a garbage bag.
He looks real good in clothes. Which was also a
He probably looks good out of clothes, too.
Well, we know he looks good out of clothes. We've
seen him in Orphan Black.
Orphan Black, yeah. So that leads us to...
So I added another bullet point in here. Mm-hmm. Well, who's your favorite character other than the leads?
I liked the best friend agent. I thought she was fun, and I liked the guy who owned the bar.
Harris.
Mine. Okay, who is so I don't know if there was a TV show called Rock in like the late 80s where he played a garbage man. Mm-hmm. So that was a TV or something serious. He's actually what's his name? Charles S. Dutton. He's like a really famous Broadway actor.
Ah.
So he was in like he won a Tony for like the piano lesson in like the 80s. Like he's really a big deal. So it was kind of cool to see him. And again, I liked the agent is one of those people. She's one of those actors who's in a lot of things. Yeah.
So I think my favorite was the agent, best friend of. She was the agent. Let me try that again. Liam's agent.
Yeah.
Was like best friends with his parents.
Right.
And so she kind of was like a mother figure. Where is he getting that from?
I don't know.
Sorry, Joey is.
If you're ripping apart a pillow, you're in big trouble.
No, he's not like ripping apart a pillow. Yes, we're talking to you.
Yeah.
So she was just a really, I don't know, she's something very charming about her. Yeah. Her name was Camille Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I really liked her a lot.
Yeah.
And so what else have we got here that we wanted to talk about? So how many? So if you had to rate this out of 5 Hallmark cards, what would you rate it?
3.5.
3.5. I would probably also give it a 3.5 or 3.75 Hallmark cards.
Yeah, it was good. It was I mean, I know they're formulaic is kind of the point, but like I feel like it could have been a better movie if they had not done. Yeah, they had good. The acting was good. Whatever. And the leads had enough chemistry that I think you didn't need as much as they had.
Yeah, I do think too that I like when there was the tension about, are they going to be together? Are they not going to be together? And then the scene where he had to finally come clean to her, mm-hmm. and she got super mad. Like I felt that.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just kind of eye rolling.
Right.
But I think we started we started the bar really high with Love on Iceland.
Right.
Because that literally made me cry. So I certainly didn't feel that way about this. Like it was fun and cute and whatever.
Yeah.
So then, rating the eye candy out of 5 candy canes.
So
Or Hershey's Kisses, as somebody else
Yeah.
put in the comments.
So, what's-his-face is very attractive. That being said, there wasn't a hot secondary male lead, which I think is important for these things.
Yeah.
So there could have been more eye candy.
What is that dog doing?
He's just throwing pillows around. Dylan Bruce is very nice to look at.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, they didn't have a weird scene where he's getting a shower for no good reason.
Right.
So that could have helped.
Right. He had his clothes on the whole time.
Yeah. So that was unhelpful for my. I would give it again 3.
Yeah. Oh, so it's not just his. It's not just the eye candy. Oh, I see what you mean. It's not just the eye candy itself. It's like.
How well did they use the eye
How
candy?
well did they use the eye candy? Okay,
Right.
so yeah.
I feel they could have utilized him a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I would agree with that assessment.
Right. I mean, maybe if he just worn, like they'd had him out running or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So what's our next movie?
So our next movie is called The Lost Valentine, because it is February 6th today, and so Valentine's Day is coming up. And this is a Hallmark movie again, and it stars Jennifer Love Hewitt as one should, and Betty White.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
Betty White's amazing, and you know she just died. So I felt that was a nice
What is it again?
tie-in.
The
Lost
Valentine.
Valentine.
Okay. So this one was made in 2011.
Yeah, I feel like, so based on the 30-second preview I saw, is like Betty White was a war romance, and her husband boyfriend went to war and never came back, and every year she waits for him at the train station.
Oh no!
And Jennifer Love Hewitt.
That's gonna make me super sad.
I know, and Jennifer Love Hewitt may be an ambitious reporter that may find love through the process. I'm just supposing.
Let's read the summary. Lucas Thomas's grandmother Caroline returns every Valentine's Day to the station where, at their then first wedding anniversary, she waved off to the Pacific War Theater in. What?
It's not very well.
Lucas Thomas's grandmother Caroline returns every Valentine's Day to the station where, at their then first wedding anniversary, she waved off to the Pacific War Theater in 1944.
Her husband.
Naval pilot Neil officially is still missing in action. Lucas, a former baseball star and reputable physiotherapist about to publish, tells the story to a station manager who assigns the item to Susan Allison. She gets involved and befriends Caroline, but resists her crush on Lucas on account of an already soulless engagement with international reporter Andrew Hawthorne. Okay, so there's two guys. Caroline's mild cardiac crisis seems to ruin everything. Gosh darn those cardiac crises.
Mild cardiac crises.
Mild cardiac crises.
So, The Lost Valentine, it is watchable, I believe, on Hallmark Movies and wherever you might find streaming.
Yes, so Sean Ferris is the love interest. He looks attractive. And then
I'm all for...
Is it Billy Magnuson is the other one?
No, Andrew Hawthorne is the...
So Will Chase.
Yeah.
I don't know that. All right, well, so I hope you guys have enjoyed our blathering on.
I know, it's fine.
Yeah, but it's been fun, so... yeah, so we will hope to see you again soon, and... tell us what you think the book was about, A Return to Forest Park, in the comments.
If you understood what we were talking about at all.
Okay, bye everybody.
All right, bye.